So in the meantime, can I quickly get introduced to ourselves also so that I get the context of my participants today? And I'm sure that because of the paucity of the time, I'll not take much time because I don't want to waste time in introduction. I'll come directly to the topic. But very quickly, where are you from? I mean, most of you are from, you're entrepreneurs, I think. You're working in your own sectors. So very quickly, where are you working, which sector, and where are you from? You're from J&K or somewhere else also probably? Yes, very quickly.
I'm from J&K, I'm from startup.
Okay. Oh, very nice. Oh, very good. Okay. Okay. Organic mushrooms. Okay, very nice. Okay.
Yeah, myself I'm from Barja. I'm in digital marketing.
Digital marketing. Oh, very interesting. Yes.
From Barja.
Okay. You?
I am a student.
Okay, very nice. Okay.
And I work in saffron grower.
Saffron grower. Oh wow. हम लोग तो हमेशा saffron खाते हैं यहाँ से.
How comes the organization? The MD organization.
MD of this organization, right? Okay.
My name is Amir Ganai. I'm a graphic designer and working as a co-founder for my startup, a tech startup, namely My Campus 247.
Oh, very nice. You're a graphic designer. Very useful for EdTech, I think. Yeah. Okay. All right. Can we go there? All right. Sorry.
My name is Shamsu. I'm from Ghaziabad. I studied mushroom.
Gaziabad.
Ghaziabad.
वो दिल्ली से आके ना मुझे गाजियाबाद ही सुनाई दे रहा है. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Okay.
Morning, sir. My name is
Food business. Very nice.
Very good. My name is Ghaziabad, and I am doing guidance all that, and I am pursuing.
Masters. Very good.
Sir, my name is Mohammed Yunus. I am from Goa. I am dealing with SDP Nursery Department.
Oh, very nice. Vegetable selling, so yeah. Oh, very nice. Okay.
Hi, I'm Nissan Malik from Srinagar. I'm part of the startup accelerator and in terms of entrepreneurs build their business.
Oh, very nice.
Apart from being the son of the soil, I've been an entrepreneur in travel and trying to understand the other opportunities
that this place resides.
Yeah.
Very nice, very good, very impressive. Yes. And yes. Tamil Nadu. Oh, you are right from south to north. No, okay. So what are you doing? PhD here. Okay, you're a PhD scholar. Very nice. Okay. Okay. All right. PhD student. And you are also a PhD student. Everyone is student. Okay, very nice. Okay. Thank you. It's not up. फिर से लगाना. Okay, in the meantime, जब तक तो setup हो रहा है, so very quickly and probably it's just a matter of chance that I am standing here today, and I hope everybody is comfortable with English.
Yes.
Yeah, should be okay. Hindi, English, both are comfortable. Okay. Just a matter of chance. To be very frank, after you, most of you, all of you are working in the field of entrepreneurship, and you are doing great. And probably I would love to sit on the other side of the table sometime and learn from you people what you people are doing and how you manage your business. But today probably what we'll do is, I think we have two sessions. The first session is on strategic branding and the second session is on creativity. So there is no doubt that probably you would be doing branding of your products and the services and your organization, as well as you people are super creative, because only those who are able to identify the opportunity are creative, right? Ultimately, that's the ground rule. But what I'm going to do today is, I'm just going to not teach you any theories. I'm not going to teach you any textbook knowledge. I'm going to give you a few examples, and probably you would be able to relate to it, and we'll have a discussion around and how it is useful to you. I have a lot of videos to show to you. I mean, some of the case videos that probably will be important. And we'll enter into a discussion. I really want all of you to contribute. So don't take this as a very orthodox session, because we are not used to it at IIT Delhi. We generally try to engage the participant, understand your context, and we'll try to make this, even if you have 1 or 2 learnings from my next 2 hours that I'm going to spend with you, I feel myself very satisfied with it, right? So just to start with, the first slide that probably was there and was more of a question. Let me hear about this strategy, innovation, creativity, branding a lot, right? That has been the buzzwords in the management. And am I audible at the last, or should I clear a mic, or very बुलंद आवाज है इस मामले में, right? So that's okay. So I just want to ask you a question. For the past decade, for the past 10 years, we have seen this business landscape change a lot, right? I want to ask you, what has changed in strategy, branding, and innovation in the past decade? There are no right or wrong answers. We all know what has changed, but I want to prove a point here, and that is why I am asking this particular question. What has changed? What do you think? Anyone? Or else I'll go one by one, or probably anyone can speak. That's absolutely fine. What has, क्या change हुआ है पिछले 10 साल में business के scenario में? आप अपना ही बिजनेस ले लो, आज से 10 साल पहले अगर आप कर रहे होते और आज आप कर रहे हो 2023 में, तो व्हाट हैज चेंज्ड? अब क्या आपकी स्ट्रैटेजी कुछ डिफरेंट रही है, कुछ सिनेरियो में डिफरेंट है, इन्वॉल्वमेंट में डिफरेंस है, पीपल के एक्सेस में डिफरेंस, बहुत कुछ चेंज हुआ है, तो क्या चेंज हुआ है? आप बैठ के बात करें। हाँ
क्या वो प्लास्ट की डब्बी आ रही है,
हाँ
राइट, क्या हुआ कि टेक्नोलॉजी ऐसा
आ रहा है, हाँ वो सुंदर सा पैकिंग, हाँ,
और उसके साथ साथ उतने हम एक्टिवली सोशल मीडिया पे फार्म पे जाके से आप जाके अपनी फसल के साथ प्रोटेक्शन डालता हूँ।
क्या मैं लिख सकता हूँ ये एक वर्ड जो आप बोल रहे हैं, सोशल मीडिया आपने बोला, पैकेजिंग बोला, प्लीज आप कंटिन्यू करिए। What is that? Shall I write that? Yeah, okay. Thank you. Yes. हाँ जी।
जब मैं अपनी वहाँ से मैं अपनी फूड्स के साथ अपना पिक्चर उठाता हूँ, उसको तुरंत सोशल मीडिया की साइट्स पे अपलोड करता हूँ, तो वहाँ से मुझे क्या आता है कि बाहर से डिमांड से वो आपका इतना अच्छा पालन हमें 10 ग्राम चाहिए, 100 ग्राम चाहिए, तो मुझे
एक प्लेटफॉर्म मिला आपको जहाँ पे आप अपने प्रोडक्ट्स को बहुत ज्यादा बाहर की तरफ विजिबल कर पा रहे हैं।
टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ मतलब टेक्निकली जो जरूरी आना है, जो किसी में कोई मतलब ये जरूरी है, मुझे लर्निंग करके या
कोलैबोरेशन करना जरूरी है, राइट?
जरूरी भी है। तो जो मेरी प्रोडक्शन है शायद मैं एज ए फार्मर उसको एज ए मार्केट बन जाऊंगा।
वेरी नाइस, वेरी गुड, perfect, bang on, yes, absolutely, I completely agree. Anyone else? Consumer awareness बहुत बड़ा है, can you elaborate कैसे बड़ा है ये?
Organic food, packaging, environmental friendly.
Environment friendly, sustainability, right? Then
Organic,
the
organic products.
organic has become very, very popular now, right? Then anyone else? Gradings. Grade wise, can you elaborate कि क्या होता है ये grade?
सर पहले सर मतलब कभी होता था चाहे एक ग्रेड होता, बी ग्रेड होता, हम कटर तरीके में बढ़ते थे, लेकिन सर अब रेटिंग मशीन आ रही है जो अलग अलग मतलब
जो सॉर्ट में तो क्वालिटी कॉन्शियस हो गए लोग, राइट? क्वालिटी कॉन्शियस हो गए। ओके, ऑलराइट, एनीवन एल्स? कंज्यूमर बिहेवियर, हाँ किसने बोला? आपने, हाँ प्लीज इलैबोरेट।
ये सारी चीजें जैसे अगर सस्टेनेबिलिटी या इसके बारे में बात करते हैं, वो जब हमने जब एक ब्रांड ने उनको दिया, इससे पहले और ब्रांड के पास भी इतना ऑप्शन नहीं था कि वो मार्केट को उस लेवल से देखें तो वो एक प्रोडक्ट देखे कंज्यूमर उसको अडॉप्ट कर लेता है लेकिन जब दूसरी कंपनी आई उसने थोड़ा अलग सोल्यूशन दिया तो कंज्यूमर का बिहेवियर चेंज हुआ
उसका बिहेवियर चेंज हुआ एब्सोल्युटली यू आर एब्सोल्युटली राइट यस या एनीवन एल्स
I can pick an example in travel.
Travel.
So Steve Coffer, the founder of ABID,
Okay.
calls himself an accidental tourist. तो उनको लगा कि मैं एक डेटाबेस बिल्ड करूँ और फिर B2B में बाकी ट्रैवल एजेंट्स को सेल करूँ.
Right.
But finally, from a business to business model, we pivoted to the consumer facing one, which is travel reviews, and right now it's one of the biggest travel sites in the world.
Right.
So from I would say the consumer has increased in
The power to the consumer.
Yes.
Right. They have a power to choose, to reject, right, and to give feedback.
Yeah, and also from the strategy point of view, I think it's a sign of innovation or
Right.
experimentation.
Right. Absolutely. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Just one example from the
This
travel.
one,
And
yeah.
apart from that, we see a lot of like the disruption post-COVID, like digital adoption became faster.
Absolutely.
If you particularly see in the edtech sector,
Absolutely.
what would have taken 5 years was done in a year or two.
Right.
Supply chain got disrupted.
And COVID has accelerated it. Yeah, COVID has accelerated it. Okay, perfect. This is awesome. Great inputs. Now, I completely agree with each and every point that you have made. Right from social media to packaging to consumer behavior to power to the way we do business. But I'll ask a follow-up question. Has the end result that we want from our strategy changed? What is the outcome of our business, of our strategy?
Customer acquisition, satisfaction.
Customer acquisition, satisfaction. मैनेजमेंट में एक बहुत ही बेसिक फंडा है, अगर पैसा नहीं तो कुछ नहीं. The profits, the money motive is the most important motive, especially when we talk about, for example, I'll tell you why I'm talking about this in this forum. My wife comes from a business family. Right, she is from a business family. I'm basically from a service family. मेरे father, mother, सब लोग engineers और ये लोग रहे थे भी. Our family has played very safe. Right? And the moment I look at my wife's family, which is coming from a business family, and when I talk to my father-in-law and my brother-in-law and everyone else, they run a shop, a small shop in Kanpur. And every time I talk to them, they say कि अगर पैसा नहीं है तो फिर business run करने का फायदा क्या? आप जितना consumer acquire कर लो, आप जितना consumer awareness बढ़ा लो, जितना digital adoption कर लो, ultimately it boils down to profits. Right? If it's not, especially in the MSME sector that we are actually talking about today, that is very, very important, right? And this is important now, and this was important 10 years ago. 10 साल पहले भी सब पैसा बनाना चाहते थे. आज भी जब सब पैसा बनाना चाहते हैं, ultimately, you have a backing, you have a funding. उसकी तो मैं भी जा ही नहीं रहा. I'll give you a lot of examples where fundings and everything become important. But ultimately, something has changed. The main motive has not changed. 10 साल पहले we wanted to make profits. Today also we want to make profit. And I would say the means have changed. This is more of a mean. Earlier, for example, you were talking about direct customer selling. Our social media platform, I can popularize my product in any platform. The platform economy जो आ गई है. Right? Travel, tourism. Earlier I had no idea of what the consumers are placing. For example, today I am also going to Gulmarg. If I had to book my hotel 10 years ago to Gulmarg, it was no chance that I would get a feedback. But yesterday night I just opened a booking.com, makeMyTrip.com, any app, and I got a feedback. I don't know how authentic those feedback are, but at least a sense in terms of what the feedbacks are and what are not. So what we talk today is the branding of the project from this particular perspective, that ultimately whatever we do, it boils down to making money. And that is why you will see a lot of MSMEs are very wary of adopting technology. Because we can talk about chat GPTs, right? We can talk about artificial intelligence. Ultimately, something which is costing me lakhs of rupees, and I'm adopting that in my business, and it's not converting into profit motives, most of your adoption of the technology will be not successful in the industry, right? That is the whole point. Okay, so all right, so let us set up. I'll just continue with this particular stuff. For example, now you know, so it boils down to this. And I'm more of a strategy person. I take everything from the perspective of a business model. Right? Chahe aap, you are in a travel industry, you're doing farming, you're doing, any localization of your art and culture that probably you're doing in J&K, or probably you are making it a big business, right, across India. That's absolutely fine, because I think the globalization starts from localization. This is my, basic, premise. But when we are actually doing it, we must realize that overall in the past, we are the new age entrepreneurs, right? And we need to take care of the new age expectation of the customers. And gone are the days, आपने टाटा और मित्तल्स का नाम सुना हो, right? टाटा और मित्तल्स जैसे काम करते हैं, I think they have a very सरकारी mode of working. तो कहते भी है ना कि टाटा में अगर आपकी जॉब लग गई तो सरकारी जॉब लग गई आप. This is the general saying that actually goes. But for the past 10 years, something else has changed very much. And I was very happy with you, sir, when you mentioned that the social media has actually changed the way we actually conduct our businesses for. Let me give you one or two personal examples. I came to Delhi in 2014. I joined as an assistant professor. And very recently, after I joined, there was a news that caught my attention. And this news actually changed the way I looked at things. And I'll tell you that story. So the news was that a girl was abducted from the Vasant Kunj metro station. Right? The kidnappers had abducted a girl. And probably they had ransom in mind because she was a very rich girl and she was working in a company called Snapdeal. Snapdeal. You have heard of Snapdeal? And the Snapdeal CEO is very active in Twitter. So Snapdeal के CEO को जब पता लगा कि मेरी एक employee abduct हो गई है, so he put the photo of that girl in the Twitter and said, she is my employee. In fact, she got abducted in Vasant Kunj. Can the public help me find him? It will be very helpful for us अगर आप लोग इसको खोजने में मदद कर सकते हैं. And that tweet got viral because he was very popular in Twitter. Within 48 hours, the girl was left very safely. She came back home, and when the police, caught the kidnappers, and they were interrogated in terms of why did you leave the girl, and she was unharmed, very unharmed. They said, see, I mean, she was a daughter of a very wealthy person. We thought that we'll abduct her, put ransom. We took her to Meerut, right? Meerut is very near to Delhi. And the moment this tweet got viral, everybody in the next day newspapers and everybody passerby, every young man had the photo of that particular girl. They really got afraid and they left this particular girl to go back home. I'm just wondering, 2016 it was, 2016, apart from our business profiles and whatever we do in our strategy and our business models, the personal change that we have seen after the advent of the social media is immense. And I'm just wondering that what would have happened to that girl if she was working in a typical PSU? Do you think that the chairman of the PSU would have tweeted? Don't quote me outside, but I don't think so, right? Because they're very bureaucratic, very sarkari. You're live. Yeah, literally. I'm live, okay. Oh, very nice. So that's absolutely fine. And this is a... So the point is that when we are actually doing this particular strategy with the social media, I'll give you another example, a very non-controversial example. Now what has happened, when I was traveling with my family to Shimla, just an example, and you will relate to it how things have changed, especially this was a travel example. So I booked a lemon tree, right? And lemon tree had chains. And I have 2 kids. I had my mother with me. I had my wife with me. We went to the hotel, and exactly what I saw in the app, I was not given the same deal. Right? I was not happy because I was given a room in the basement. It was very clumsy. The square feet that was promised was not given to me. The year was 2018, I think. I got a cue from that what happened with Snapdeal. I thought that I'll just give it a try. I tweeted with the CEO of that particular company in hashtags and mentioned that I am not happy with this particular room that was allocated to me and everything else. And finally, within 2 hours, a man from Lemon Tree was standing in front of my room. And he said that why you are not happy, we can help you out, right? Tell me your concerns. It was 8 o'clock at night. And I said that I'm not happy with the room, what to do? And he said that probably what we can do is, we can shift you to a better room tomorrow morning because now your kids are asleep and everything else. That's absolutely fine. So next morning he was very good to me. He came 5 o'clock in the morning, took my family to a better hotel, right? Gave me a better deal. You know, he had balloons in his hand for my kids and a card for my wife. And in return, he said, and I got me settled. And in return, he only asked me one thing. Can you guess what? Delete your tweet, sir. Can you delete your tweet? Because any negative reaction to any company now in the social media is disastrous. It's visible to the entire world. And that's the basic thing with the corporate. If you look at Snapdeal, you know, I was talking about the money being the primary motive for any company, right? This is how they build their brands. Snapdeal, Flipkart and Amazon has never made any money in India. You know that? For the past 10 years, they have not built any money. And why localization is important? Because I'll tell you the example of what happened. 2006, Flipkart came in as a startup, registered in Singapore. Why? Why didn't they register in India? Taxes and the cumbersome process because Singapore is very open to the startup ideas, right? We opened in 2006, and Jeff Bezos, who was the CEO of Amazon, in 2005 declared that, see, we are going to expand in the developing markets. 2006, we'll enter China. 2007, we'll enter India. We'll kill all the competition. We'll have the monopoly. And what happened? 2006, they enter into China. They face a stiff competition from a company called Alibaba, right? And they deferred the plan to enter into India for the next 7 years. They wanted to enter in 2007, but something happened in China that deterred their entrance in India. Can you tell me what it was? Can you tell me why Jeff Bezos, a global CEO of the company, deferred the entry into India by 7 years? And this is the learning, this is the biggest learning of what happened. When they entered into China, they realized that the way e-commerce works in the West doesn't work in the developing nations. Because अगर मैं आपको बोलूं आज से 2006 में मैं खुद नहीं करता ही, right? 2006 में अगर कोई मुझको बोलता कि आपको ये, for example, you know, I have to buy a jacket, मैं upfront पे कर दूं और आपको जैकेट 2 दिन के बाद मिलेगा. Was it possible? मेरे पेरेंट्स आज, to be very frank, my mother will not buy a furniture online because my mother wants to go touch and feel a furniture in a shop and then buy it online. We are okay with it probably. We all will order furniture online because our generation are different. Go and ask our parents if they can do it. They will never do it, right? And this is what happened in 2006. There was no awareness of e-commerce. Cash on delivery is an innovation in India, right? कहीं और exist नहीं करता है. It only exists in India because people of India don't trust. We have a trust issue. We don't want to pay. आज वो प्रॉब्लम नहीं है शायद, लेकिन 2006 में ये प्रॉब्लम था. And when Flipkart and Snapdeal started their operation in 2006, they used their venture funds to make people aware. 2006 से एडवर्टाइजिंग शुरू है, you can buy online and everything else. They were making people aware, and that is why Amazon, when they entered China, they realized that people of China and India have this restraining mindset in terms of trust in e-commerce platforms. So why do I burn my funds to make people aware? I'm not going to do that. They had already entered China, had a lesson on ground. They deferred entry into India by 7 years. 2006 to 2013, there was a huge fight between Flipkart and Snapdeal to create that awareness. And when people, a large chunk, even now, in a population of 1.45 billion people, we are not quite aware of what e-commerce is. Quite a handful percentage of people are only there which are aware. And that is why probably Amazon said that let them burn their venture funds. We'll enter into 2013 like a boss. We'll capture the market in 10 years. And if you look at the recent McKinsey report that came out for the e-commerce, do you know the percentage of share of Amazon, Flipkart and Snapdeal? Take a guess. कितना होगा? अगर 100 का मार्केट है, कितना Amazon ले रहा होगा? 70 to 80. So in यहाँ पर आप लोग क्या यूज कर रहे हो? I mean, how many of you are very loyal to Amazon? There are, right? Very loyal to Amazon, right? Why do you think that even in Delhi, I mean, I ask my MBA students or IT Delhi, if in class of 60-50 will raise hand for Amazon, and I ask why? They said, sir, excellent customer service.
Yeah, customer service.
Awesome, right? If I bought a jacket, if I want to return it, I can just return it. Next day the delivery boy will come, no questions asked. No questions asked, right? They will just return it and your refund will come. What I'm trying to prove, and let me just change the context and probably give you some other examples. Why this social media is very important for branding. I'm trying to emphasize this particular point. How many of you are in Twitter here? Twitter में कौन-कौन है या देखता है Twitter? Very nice. At least you are in Twitter. आपको पता है इंडिया में सबसे फेमस ट्वीट आज तक कौन सा जनरेट हुआ है? सबसे फेमस जो कि बहुत बार रीट्वीट हुआ है. Most famous, most retweeted tweet from India. ठीक है guess? क्या हो सकता है? वो हैशटैग क्या हो सकता है? Me Too never originated in India. It originated somewhere else. India got it. And let me give you a hint. It's not about politics. It has to do something with sports. वो कौन सा ट्वीट है स्पोर्ट्स का जो आज तक हिस्ट्री है, रिकॉर्ड है, उतना ट्वीट आज तक कभी नहीं हुआ कोई भी ट्वीट. क्या मोमेंट हो सकता है वो? विराट कोहली से भी बड़ा कौन है? सचिन. और क्या मोमेंट हो सकता है वो? The day Sachin Tendulkar was retiring, he was going to the field for his last match. There was a tweet that said hashtag thank you Sachin. This tweet is tweeted at least 4.3 billion times. And this was way back in 2012, I think, when he retired, right? आज से 10 साल पहले. आज इंडिया में ट्विटर का पॉपुलेशन इस 8 करोड़ से ज्यादा लोग नहीं है ट्विटर में. 8 करोड़ से ज्यादा नहीं है. 140 करोड़ की आबादी में 8 ही करोड़ इंडिया में ट्विटर में है. 2012 में ये ट्वीट 4 करोड़ बार हुआ. तो डेफिनेटली ये आईब्रो रेस करेगा कि ऐसा कैसे हो गया, इतना भी लोग नहीं सचिन को चाहते हैं. ये 4 करोड़ बार ट्वीट हो गया. बट द रीजन वाज वेरी डिफरेंट. जब इसके ऊपर रिसर्च हुई, research was that people pounded on this opportunity. No doubt we all love Sachin, right? Sachin is considered a global star, right? That's absolutely fine. Lekin businesses pounded on this opportunity of a hashtag being trending for straight 25 days. Because Twitter में आपको जाके friends बनाने की जरूरत नहीं है अपना view बताने के लिए. If you use Twitter, आप बस एक hashtag use करो. For example, अभी Twitter खोलो, जो trending hashtag है आज का, कुछ भी हो सकता है वो, उसको बस लगा के अपने व्यूज दे दो. इट विल बी विजिबल टू एवरीवन. सो 2012 Flipkart was tweeting, and look at how they pounded on this opportunity. and somebody else was tweeting, don't consider my names at the final one, I just know that this is live, right? They tweeted that, thank you Sachin, thank you for the wonderful years of cricket. We are starting our big billion days from 2nd of October. This is the link, please come and shop. Somebody else was tweeting like an electronic company that thank you Sachin for such a great cricketing times. वो तो लिखना ही पड़ेगा और उसके बाद अपने brand का promotion. Right? Our consumer durable products are very green, it's very sustainable, please come and buy. Right? So these are some of the opportunities of the social media that probably you can leverage. That's very important. I really need this. वो कनेक्ट तो हो गया था, जस्ट कॉपी फाइल पेन ड्राइव, विल डू दैट. इसको शायद हटा के कर लूँ, होगा नहीं हो रहा है, वो ऑन ही नहीं है, ऑन है क्योंकि ये तो कनेक्ट हो रहा है. आई थिंक देयर HDMI प्रॉब्लम है. तो पेन ड्राइव मेरे पास ऑलरेडी है, बट द ओनली प्रॉब्लम इज दैट आई हैव टू रन देन वीडियोस सेपरेटली. कोई बात नहीं, आप इसको ऐड करने से करो ऐड. I'll just sort it out in 2 minutes. I hope that's okay. Shall we try here? How long is this session? I have to go till what? अभी तो ब्रेक भी देना है. अगर बोरिंग लगा तो फिर So how many days you have already done? 4 days. This is your 5th day. Yes. And what all parts you have covered till now? I'm just briefly branding. All about the branding. So this is the first time we are talking branding from the strategy perspective. Yes. Right, from the strategy perspective. Ah, yes. Okay. Yeah. प्रॉब्लम है, जितना भी ये होगा ना मेरा वीडियो, हाँ इसमें है लेकिन वो शायद काम नहीं करेगा. This will be a problem. I wanted to show you a video because we are talking about social media. In fact, I will show you 2 videos regarding the social media and look at the stats very carefully. Because एक video जो बना था, that was some years back, and then they revised the statistics of this particular video. and you will realize that how deeply brands and individuals, of course, are taking social media seriously, right? See this video. This is all statistics, and you will really enjoy this. Shall I run it again from the start?
Yes.
Okay. This was the first one, and I really want to show you the second one also. Are this? Could you listen at the? Could you see the stats? Is it scary or encouraging? Both.
Yes.
It's in both. Right? For me, it's very scary because the way we are getting penetrated. Huge disruption. Right? Personally, I am very wary of social media. I tell you, because we are leaving footprints. It's data. And you have already seen Mark Zuckerberg and Google CEO and Facebook CEO has been reprimanded in the court of law for using the data unlawfully for our people, right? So this is very dangerous. But on the other hand, if we are talking about from the business perspective, it's a huge opportunity. It is also an opportunity because probably now the reach and the power of this particular social media will depend upon how much you want to reach in your particular vision and the mission statement, and that is why this slide is about vision and mission. I know this is the most abused word in the management domain. हर बार हम लोग ये विजन मिशन की बात करते हैं, इसलिए मैं आज विजन मिशन को थ्योरेटिकली नहीं बट प्रैक्टिकली आप लोगों से सबसे पहले तो पूछना चाहता हूं that what do you mean by vision and mission, and let me just try to establish that what actually is vision. My role model in life is Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. I am a pass out of IIM Lucknow, and I still remember that he used to come to IIM Lucknow a lot for his lectures. And in one of his lectures, he was a very celebrated man. And I remember that, we would have missed all our IIM lectures, that's absolutely fine, but we would never miss an opportunity to listen to him. So I still remember that day. He was coming on a Sunday for a guest lecture. The IIM Lucknow hall the capacity was 800. It was fully jam-packed. Right? 800 students waiting to listen to APJ Abdul Kalam. And he entered, and he was such a humble man. He was very humble. I don't know whether you have seen his videos and read his biography. He was very humble, right? He was very celebrated and very humble. And I can't forget the exercise that he did that day with 800 of us. And I'm going to repeat that exercise with all of you. He just came on, and the first question that he asked us was that before I start my lecture, I want to know what is the vision of my crowd, individually as well as professionally, right, collectively. And he picked up random people from the crowd, right? कि आप आ जाओ, आप आ जाओ, आप आ जाओ. मैं भी अभी वही करने वाला हूँ. I'm going to go to you randomly to ask you about your vision of your life, right? Not of your business or anything else, but what is your vision? And then I'll prove a point that Dr. proved to us. So may I choose random people? Are you ready for this exercise? What's your vision, sir? Feel free. The first thing that is coming to your mind.
Satisfied life.
Satisfied life. Perfect. Okay, sir.
Exhaust my life for others.
Exhaust my life for others. Okay. All right, madam. Be honest. Okay.
Do something to
Do something to society. Okay. We have PhD scholars sitting out there. Huh? What's your vision? Good, a service to the society. Okay, all right. Yes, my friend. Huh?
Live happily and be like.
Live happily. Okay, all right. Yes, sir.
There are multiple dimensions.
Okay.
But one thing would be part of an effort which helps entrepreneurs and bring in a
Social change. Perfect. The point is, and I can't forget that day, and probably will not forget what I was going to say now. He wanted to prove a point, and the point he wanted to prove was that probably most of you are from GMK, and most of us at that period of time was from IIM Lucknow doing our MBA and PhD there, absolutely. But he said that, see, if I go to different people have different visions, right? And I have done this exercise with my MBA scholars for the past 10 years. I go to my MBA students, I ask them, kya vision kya hai, kya hai, kya hai. The extreme answers that I have got. I am really glad that I am getting a very mature answer here. All of you gave a very matured answer to me. But the young guns, that young people, young blood. So one of the students, I still remember, he was a young 21-year-old student, got up and said that, sir, my vision is to become the richest man on earth. richest man on earth. And I said to him that, elaborate, what do you want to become? And he said, that's why I want to beat Mark Zuckerberg. This is my vision. A vision is a vision. That's absolutely okay. And then in the same class, a girl got up and said that, sir, I come from a very remote village of Bihar. I have seen the struggles. After doing my MBA, probably I'll go back and serve my village. I don't want these fancy placements. I want to do something very small for my village. I'll be more than happy if I'm called the Mother Teresa of my village after 10 years. Just imagine Mark Zuckerberg and Mother Teresa sitting in the same class. Right? Same education, same context, but different vision. But the more important point is, and this is what the learning of Dr. Kalam was, whatever your vision is, own it up. And I'll tell you what he actually said. He said a story, and I'm sure that you must have read about the story of Alice in Wonderland. There is a book, Alice in Wonderland. उसमें एक बहुत अच्छा स्टोरी है कि एलिस वुड्स में लॉस्ट हो गई. She is lost in the woods. And she has 5 paths in front of her. 5 paths थे उसके सामने. And she got confused that which path to take. And she thought that probably I'll call a cat. And that cat was more of a Cheshire cat. Cheshire cat is cat with predictive powers. तो उसने इसको बुलाया, बोला कि cat, I want to choose one path. Can you tell me which path to take? And the cat asked the question back to Alice, where do you want to go? That's a basic question, only then you will be able to decide it. Alice says, probably I don't know where do I want to go. So which path do I take now? And what will be the obvious answer of cat? Take any path. It doesn't matter if you don't want to reach anywhere. And Alice realized that this was not a right answer to give to the cat. Story doesn't end here. She calls the cat again. Cat, wapas aao. I want to reach somewhere. Please tell me which path to take. And the cat says, keep walking any path then. You will reach somewhere. If you want to reach somewhere, you will reach somewhere. There are 2 learnings from this story, my friends. And this is where, this should get ingrained in your mind. We as, people living in the subcontinent are very hard-working people. There is no doubt about it. All my students, everyone, you travel across the nation, everybody is very hard-working. If you keep working hard, you will definitely reach somewhere. After 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, probably you will become a CEO, you will become big, you will become Amazons, and probably you will become, the Flipkarts of the world. That's absolutely fine. But the problem is that after 15 years, if I reach somewhere, and then I realize that this was not a place where I wanted to reach, तो आपका पूरा 5, 10, 15 साल का effort will go a waste. And this is where there are many management techniques, but एक management technique जो branding और strategy में वो हमेशा मैं personally advise करता हूँ, वो है SWOT. आपने SWOT का नाम सुना होगा? Strength, Weakness, Opportunity, Threat. सबसे पहले वो अपने business में apply कर लीजिए और अपने personality में apply कर लीजिए, because everyone sitting here has a different personality. So what are your strengths? Maybe your strength is not my strength, right? Maybe my weakness is your strength. Maybe my opportunity in travel tourism is different from the opportunity maybe in saffron production, right? So I need to first of all dissect it completely, clearly in terms of what my business can do, what are my limitations and what are the opportunities. And only then I'll start strategizing, else I'll be a Alice who wants to go to one of the paths but don't know where to go. And this is the biggest learning. And Dr. Abdul Kalam also said one thing that actually resonates with a lot of literature and vision. That a vision एक ऐसा चीज होना चाहिए जो आप कभी achieve न कर पाओ. Do you actually believe this statement?
Yes.
Yeah.
Consistency is a bit of death.
Absolutely.
Because you keep on trying and striving.
Absolutely. And he gave 2 examples. I'll give you 2 examples. You're absolutely right. आपने इस company का नाम सुना होगा, sorry. So आपने इस कंपनी का नाम सुना होगा, वॉल्ट डिज्नी. वॉल्ट डिज्नी क्या करती है? एनिमेशन, मूवी राइट, मूवीज. और he said, I mean, I'm again saying this. So whatever I'm doing this in this slide, it was done by Dr. ABID. He owns the copyright of it. He said that suppose I make you the CEO of Walt Disney today. Suppose, imagine, you are the CEO, all of you are CEOs of Walt Disney. Tell me what will be your vision statement. सोचो आप 30 seconds and tell me. Imagine yourself as the CEO of Walt Disney and tell me what will be the vision statement that you will give to your employee. Think over it and I'll choose people randomly. Think over it. Make people happy? You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Anyone else? Make this profitable.
Promote empathy.
Empathy through the movies, okay, all right. Anyway. Brighten together, okay, all right. No, nothing is the wrong answer. Don't worry. Every answer is the right answer. That's okay. Anyone else? Animations and everything, because that's more important. Okay, all right. I'll tell you what the vision statement of Walt Disney is. What is your name, my friend? Jawad, you're absolutely right. You hit the nail. The vision statement of Walt Disney is only 4 words, what you mentioned. And that is okay. I mean, all of you are right, and just that you mentioned the exact words. To make people happy. And see how big, audacious this goal is. You know, it looks very simple, but it is so audacious. So what does Walt Disney do? It make animations, it make movies, it is into merchandise, and it is into also theme parks. This is what they do. Donald Ducks or Mickey Mouse, aapko yaad hoga. How many of you love Mickey Mouse? All of you? But say might be some kid who hate it. Right? किसी को पसंद नहीं होगा वो. Right? Donald Duck किसी को पसंद होगा, किसी को नहीं होगा. Movies बनाया इन्होंने सोनम कपूर को लेके, जो कि फ्लॉप हो गई इंडिया में. किसी को पसंद आई होगी मूवी, किसी को पसंद नहीं आई होगी मूवी. Right? You will always find in business the people who would love your product and who would hate your product. It doesn't mean that you get digressed from your vision, right? It is so big, audacious. For example, एक Mickey Mouse का एक T-shirt है, मुझे पसंद आएगा, किसी आपको नहीं पसंद आएगा. So can they make people happy? All the people happy on this particular earth? It's not possible, but they are striving to do it, right? Another example, and then I'll give you a personal example. हम लोग Amazon की बहुत बात की है आज, right? Imagine I make you Jeff Bezos today. Imagine. You are the CEO of Amazon. Tell me what your vision would be, and I'll show you the exact vision statement.
Want to be the most
Customer centricity is very important. Perfect. Then taken. Anyone else? Best customer service. Perfect. Okay. All right. A to Z, जो कि उनके लोगों में ही है. A to Z उसका मतलब है कि हम A to Z प्रोडक्ट बेचते हैं. You are very right. Then the choice. Okay, all right. I'll show you the exact vision statement and read this vision statement very carefully, and I'll read it for you. The vision statement says, and look at how big, audacious, unachievable this is. Our vision is to be the Earth's. The first word that catches my attention is Earth's most customer-centric organization, rightly said. To build a place where people can come and find and discover. Next word is important. Anything they might want to buy online. Now, though word is catching my attention. One is Earth. Can they be present in all the hook and corner of Earth? No, it's not possible. And can they sell anything that I want? Anything that I want? Not possible. अगर ये मिल गया, if they achieve this vision statement, they will achieve heaven. इसके बाद फिर मून या मार्स में जाना होगा इनको, because अर्थ में तो सब जगह आ गए. It's not possible for them, to be very frank, to be on each and every nook and corner of earth and sell anything, but still they have a vision, because they know that probably this is what we are striving for. Right? This is very important. Now your vision statement, again, is not only your envisioned future. Right? I said it's a bhag goal. It's a big, heavy, audacious goal that you're working for. And a vivid description. And of course, it talks about your core ideology. It comes from your core ideology. What is your core value and your core purpose? Right? The two students who gave me this answer of Mark Zuckerberg and Mother Teresa, probably they would have some experiences in their life that forced them to have this particular vision. And this was my basic learning from that session, that there is no right or wrong vision, my friend. It's absolutely your vision, you own it up. As simple as that. It's not necessary that what I have a vision, it has to resound with what his vision is, what your vision is, what your vision is. It's not necessary at all. You only have to own up your vision right now. The moment you get out of this room today, talk about your SWOT, your business, where do you want to reach after 10-15 years. Do not get lost like Alice, and have a vision in which you consistently work on. पहले तो ये बेसिक है. We talk about strategy, branding and anything else later. At this juncture, let me show you one more example through a video, of course. And क्योंकि मैंने ये change किया तो मुझे बार बार यहाँ पे जाना होगा, right? I came across this particular aspect, having talked about vision and mission. One thing is very important, that you should always look for opportunities. Because आप लोग सब business कर रहे हो, हम लोग एक चीज में तो agree किए हैं that money is important. And how will money be made? When we are able to sell our product to a customer, the right product at a right time. Right? That's very important. And look at what one of the big companies did. And this is called astronomical sales by MasterCard. This is a
Sunny from Dubai, where solar is captured after sunrise. Annular eclipse, solar eclipse.
In the slowest retail season, MasterCard built a unique sale tied to the eclipse. Since 97% of the sun would disappear, 97% of the price would disappear too, on the region's biggest online retailer, Noon.com. Getting people excited not only for the sun of the century, but also for the sale of the century. On the day of the eclipse, events were held across Dubai. When the eclipse started, so did the sale. And as the sun diminished, so did the prices, reaching discounts of 97% and returning gradually to full price. For those who purchased at the exact moment when the eclipse formed the MasterCard logo, priceless prizes were awarded to shoppers. Suddenly, from 6:30 to 8:30 a.m., one day after Christmas, astronomical sales brought dead season back to life with 18,000 new MasterCards registered. Products sold out in minutes, and the brand was seen in a whole new light.
Down check MasterCard. The MasterCard logo in the sky.
So looking at the sky, loving astronomy is rooted to the hearts of the people and to the faith. In the desert, you have the land and the sky. You have to work with it, understand it, decode it, and use it for your benefits.
Leaving behind the priceless account of that one time, nature painted the MasterCard logo in a live billboard in the sky.
He mentions this very nicely, that probably you need to understand it, decode it, and leverage it. And probably this is a very extreme example where they did it at a national level in terms of whatever, but I'm sure that there are many opportunities locally that probably you can pound upon, irrespective of the businesses that you are working on, and make sure that your brands and your products and your services reaches to the masses. Right? This is a brand awareness campaign. And every time we talk about a brand, it's always interesting. I get a lot of questions every time an IIT student or any other student comes to me and say, "Sir, ये सब तो ठीक है, funding कहाँ से मिलेगा?" Right? The funding is important. It's always important. Right? Where do you generate funds from? The quality of your product and the services will actually decide your impression and your branding in front of others. And this is where probably I requested Dr. ABID that I'll take this session on strategic branding and creativity hand in hand. Because if you talk about only branding and not creativity, it doesn't make sense to me. And you talk of only creativity without branding, it again don't make sense to me, right? So whatever you are actually doing in your businesses, you need to be very, very creative. And I found another great example of a small kid living in Dharavi, Mumbai. You know Dharavi, Mumbai is a slum, right? And he could generate a lot of funds because of this particular creativity. You would love it. I'm just going to run that particular video again, and you will realize why I'm showing you this particular video. We are writing a case study on this kid.
Chatbot stole our hearts, so how could we not get back? Chatbot gave us a fundraising model that we can use to reach out to any brand.
Pick me up.
So what my kids say to me that so they have ChatGPT and we have Chatbot. Right? It's a very creative way to actually entice this particular brand, because ultimately, if your work, if your services catches the attention of the social media, yes, leverage. So we started with social media and coming on to the creativity aspect of it, and now you will see the blend of what the social media creativity and the strategic branding can do to your particular stuff. Because ultimately, remember that we started with this premise of money. Ultimately, we are doing this definitely for our product and the services, but just a little caution. I mean, content is the king. I completely agree on it. Don't try to brand or sell a product that is below par, because ultimately you will get exposed, right? Because ultimately, when it reaches the customers, when they started to use your services and your products, the quality in the products is given. It has to be given. There is no compromise on that particular quality before you actually do all of these particular things. Okay, now probably I want to tell you a story, because I have given you a lot of stuff, but I want to tell you a story. And this particular story dates back to 1979. And I'm sure that many of you must be photography expert. आप लोग तो इतनी सुंदर जगह रहते हो. Since yesterday I'm mesmerized by your particular Srinagar city. It's such beautiful and a calm city. It's very picturesque. And I'm sure that most of you would be photographers. Must be taking photographs of this beauty, scenic beauty. And if you remember that time of our parents and older generation, जहाँ पे reels होते थे camera के, right? If you remember those reels and everything else, so that era I'm talking about. And that era was 1979, when Kodak dominated the market. Kodak was from USA. They had more than 79% of the market share across the world. There was a smaller player then who was from Japan, who was Fujifilm, right? And the other protagonist of my story is Hunt Brothers and Sony. You would realize what Sony is, but ये Hunt Brothers के बारे में किसी को पता है? What is Hunt Brothers? What has they to do with the camera? Does anybody know what is the relation between Hunt Brothers and camera business? So the story goes like this: that Hunt Brothers were merchants of USA at that period of time. Kodak dominating the market, real market, everything was going fine. But suddenly Hunt Brothers comes in and they start monopolizing the silver as a component industry, right? They start to monopolize this particular industry. And why silver is important for a real camera business? Anyone? Because that was a basic ingredient of your real photos, right? जो reel आती थी हम लोगों की पहले reel कैमरा में, उसका एक basic ingredient silver होता था, और अगर silver को वो monopolize कर देंगे, मतलब cost of photography will go up, right? So Kodak and Fujifilm started to feel the heat of it. कि यार ये silver को they are monopolizing, they are eating our margins. This went on for 3 years, from 1979 to 1982. In 1982, the US government came in, arrested them and said that no, this is illegal. क्योंकि competition commission in USA भी कुछ था. No, this is completely illegal. What you do is, you go to jail and demonopolize this silver business. So it happened. Kodak was very happy when it happened. They said कि हाँ अब सब कुछ ठीक हो गया मेरे बिजनेस में, अब ये मोनोपोलाइज नहीं होगा and we can continue as we are continuing. Fujifilm was not happy at all. They said कि नहीं, we are not happy because ये एक बार अगर हो सकता है तो अगली बार भी हो सकता है. That means we are in a very risky business. And in 1983, Sony came up with a digital camera. The first digital camera was made by Sony. Kodak at that period of time, 3 साल ये monopolization हो चुका था. 1983 में they said that no, we don't even consider digital camera as our competitor. They are into separate business, we are into separate business. Fujifilm jumped into digital camera immediately. Fast forward yourself 40 years now, 2023, and let us see where Sony stands, where Kodak stands, and where Fujifilm stands. My point is, what I am trying to prove a point, that a competitive advantage of your branding is one thing, but sustaining it is another. How many times we have seen brands going down over the years? For example, पुराने ज़माने में Fiat और Ambassador कार हुआ करती थी. My father used to have a Fiat. All the ministries used to use ambassadors. आज कहाँ है Fiat और Ambassador? क्यों नहीं है? Because the moment you went to Fiat and Ambassador some years back and said कि मुझे power window चाहिए, power steering चाहिए, power brake चाहिए, वो कुछ नहीं दिए. They didn't evolve. Nokia phone, आप लोग को याद है? Used to be a पत्थर phone, right? You can play cricket with that phone. Nothing will happen to that phone, Nokia 1100. Try dropping your smartphones today. एक बार गिरेगा वो टूट जाएगा, right? इसके घर में how many of you are married and have kids? कितनी बार टूटा है kids के हाथों ये phones, I mean, just because they are playing and वो टूट जाता है. So the sustainable competitive advantage, although you see a lot of words written here, but I want to explain you via this particular slide. I hope I am not eating away your break time. No. It's absolutely fine. Yes. I can continue. Yes. And if it's super boring, you can tell me. I can stop. No. You are enjoying the lecture? Yes. Yeah. Are we on the same page? Yeah. Perfect. So for the sustainable competitive advantage, 3 things are very important. And this is 3 basic things that you can think about your business. The first thing is size. The second is your access. The third is your options. And let me give you some other examples so that you get out of your context and see other examples. Have you heard of this company called Tata Steel? Tata Steel इतने बड़े मैमथ तरीके से ऑपरेट करता है कि आपको लगता है कि कोई स्टार्टअप आके डिस्टर्ब करेगा इसको. It's not possible. Either you have that particular scale or you have a scope. What is scope? You must have heard of P&G and Unilever. Head and Shoulders, Pantene. Head and Shoulders किसका है by the way? Unilever या P&G का? और Pantene? सर्फ एक्सेल किसका है? और टाइड किसका है? और निरमा किसका है? इससे फर्क पड़ता है नॉर्मल कंज्यूमर्स को. हम लोग तो आज वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट इन MBA क्लास, प्रॉब्ली इट मैटर्स टू अस, दैट इज व्हाई वी आर पॉन्डरिंग ओवर द क्वेश्चन. द पीपल हु आर आउटसाइड बाइंग सर्फ एक्सेल एंड टाइड, उनको फर्क पड़ता है यूनिलीवर का हो या P&G का हो. इट्स मोर ऑफ ए शैडो ब्रांड, राइट? एंड बाय द वे, लेट मी जस्ट आस्क यू दिस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन. Which is the largest selling detergent in India? Surf. Ujala? No. Tide भी नहीं है, Ariel भी नहीं है. अच्छा, P&G का है या यूनिलीवर का है? मैं आपको हिंट देता हूं, दोनों का नहीं है. घड़ी, सुसेट, घड़ी. एंड हु ओन्स घड़ी? P&G, यूनिलीवर तो वो नहीं करते हैं. कहां का है ये ब्रांड? कानपुर बेस्ड ब्रांड है ये. और कानपुर में क्या फेमस है? लेदर. आपको पता है कानपुर इज वेरी फेमस फॉर लेदर. सो हैव यू हर्ड ऑफ दिस ब्रांड कॉल्ड रेड चीफ शूज? ना, रेड चीफ शूज और घड़ी का ओनर एक ही है. वो पहले शू बनाता था, बाद में उसने घड़ी बनाना शुरू किया, राइट? एंड उजाला कोई बोल रहा था, यू वर टेलिंग उजाला, एक्चुअली दैट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम लेबोरेटरी, ज्योति लैबोरेटरीज, दैट घड़ी हैज एक्वायर्ड. सो एक्चुअली उजाला जो आप सोचते हो वो भी अब इसी का है. सो रेड चीफ शूज, घड़ी, उजाला is having the same owner. And P&G, and this is the only country, my friends, this is the only country of the world जहां पे P&G और Unilever का dominance नहीं है डिटर्जेंट में. And why do you think that घड़ी is able to match the dominance? Because देखो, I mean, it's a very interesting question if you ponder over it. P&G और Unilever कितनी बड़ी कंपनी है. They have money power, they have shadow brands power. They are making Surf Excel, which is a high-end brand, and they are also making, Tide and all of those, low-end brand, shadow brand करके वो सब segment में है. Then also, घड़ी, which is only coming with a one brand, is able to dominate this particular market. Why do you think so? This has happened?
कॉम्पीट नहीं कर पाते थे. तो जितना मैंने एनालाइज किया है कि बड़ी कंपनी जो है, राइट, वो लार्जर ऑडियंस के लिए प्रोडक्ट बनाती है और मार्केटिंग करती है, ब्रांडिंग करती है. तो जो छोटे प्लेयर है, मतलब अभी जमाना हमारे लिए है कि हम एक रीजन को लें और उसको टारगेट करें.
Absolutely. I am getting your point. What's your name, my friend?
Omar.
Omar, you're absolutely right. And let me just elaborate what Omar is actually saying. आप लोग कितने लोग हॉस्टल में रह चुके हैं? हॉस्टल्स में, अपने बैचलर्स में, मास्टर्स में. ओके, बहुत लोग रह चुके हैं. शेयर्ड रूम होगा, शेयर्ड रूम होगा. जब आप लोग शेयर्ड रूम में रहते थे और हॉस्टल में रहते थे, कभी आप लोगों ने 1 लीटर का शैम्पू का बोतल खरीद के गए हो? स्पेशली आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट बॉयज. क्यों नहीं खरीदे? शेयर्ड रूम में 1 लीटर का क्या होगा? एक दिन में खत्म होगा. मैं यूज करूंगा, मेरा रूममेट यूज करेगा, बगल वाला रूम यूज करेगा, पूरा विंग यूज करेगा, बाद में पता नहीं कहां पे मुझे मिलेगा वो, राइट? वो 2 दिन में खत्म हो गया होगा. आई कैन डेफिनेटली टॉक अबाउट बॉयज. गर्ल्स आई डोंट नो, आई एम नॉट श्योर वेदर यू शेयर देयर दोस थिंग्स और नॉट, बट बॉयज का तो पक्का है. So what was the best strategy for you? 1 रुपए का शैचे लो, उसको कंज्यूम करो. Now this 1 rupee sachet has an economics behind it, and I'll tell you that economics, and this is exactly the point that Umar is actually talking about. Add the cost that you pay for 1 rupee sachet till 1 liter. Add the cost. It will be literally double the amount that you pay for 1 liter of bottle that you pay at one time. And this exactly, आपने ये नाम सुना होगा, and you should read that book. I'll recommend this book to you people. आप लोगों के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होगा. बॉटम ऑफ द पिरामिड का नाम सुना है? आप एक प्रोफेसर C.K. प्रहलाद हुआ करते थे. वो पहले अहमदाबाद में थे, फिर वो हार्वर्ड चले गए थे. And he wrote a book, and that book is called Fortune at the Bottom of the Pyramid. Exactly what you are saying. I'm just putting it in a management word, right? Because now you realize, forget about the hostels and everything else. Think about that laborer who is on a daily wage, right? Do you think that he will be able to buy that 1 liter of bottle? He will definitely earn the wage daily. वो घर जाने के पहले अपना कपड़ा धोने का तेल और साबुन और वो 1-1 रुपए 2-2 रुपए का लेकर जाता है, because that daily consumption is very important. And if you look at the social dynamics of the entire India, only 11%. मैं तो बोलता हूँ कि that we are very lucky, we are in the top 0.0% कि हम लोग इतने अच्छे यूनिवर्सिटी में बैठ के आज बात कर रहे हैं. Do you think that this is India? India is very poor. India is very crowded, and India is very living below the poverty line. I always say to my students and probably here that we are very privileged to sit here. We are in the 0.05% to sit in this laboratory, but India is not this. If you really want to understand India, go to the villages, go to these particular stuff. They are struggling for daily livings. And this is where targeting those people with the small products and the services becomes very important. And this is what exactly, if it works, help needed. Okay. So Unilever, exactly. They are not able to decode it because जो India का characteristics है वो West का characteristics नहीं है. In the West, Unilever, for example, एक और example देता हूँ आपको. OTT channels देखते होंगे आप लोग. कौन से channels देखते हैं? OTT. Netflix. राइट? इंडिया में सबसे पॉपुलर ओटीटी चैनल कौन सा है ये बताइए? Amazon प्राइम, हॉटस्टार. अगर आप 1 महीने पहले हॉटस्टार बोलते तो मैं मान जाता एज पर द नंबर्स, लेकिन आज नहीं है हॉटस्टार. हाँ, मिनी टीवी नहीं है, जियो नहीं है. दिस इज व्हाई आई से दैट वी आर एलीट पीपल, क्योंकि हम लोग जो देखते हैं वही हम लोग बोल रहे हैं. राइट? हम लोग नेटफ्लिक्स देखते हैं, हम लोग अमेजन प्राइम देखते हैं, बट टू बी वेरी फ्रैंक, नेटफ्लिक्स इज स्ट्रगलिंग इन इंडिया. अगर आप बिजनेस पर्सपेक्टिव देखोगे, दे आर नंबर 6 और नंबर 7. अमेजन प्राइम फिर भी ठीक है, शायद नंबर 4 में है. हॉटस्टार बिफोर जियो सिनेमा टुक IPL, उसके पहले हॉटस्टार वॉज एट टॉप, बिकॉज इंडिया में 4 चीजें बिकती है ABCD मेरे हिसाब से. B और C तो गेस कर चुके होंगे आप लोग. B फॉर Bollywood, C for cricket. Now there is huge fan following. People are pagal behind these two. A और D क्या है? A is for astrology. Right? Daily TV soaps जो आते हैं, जो हम लोग नहीं देख रहे होंगे. To be very frank, we are not that into. But if India is the youngest population of the world, we should realize that India is also the oldest population of the world. The people more than 60 years of age living in this particular country is more than any other country. And they would not like to see Amazon Prime and Netflix. For example, my grandfather would like to watch more astrology and more devotional, as per whatever his beliefs are, as compared to what we watch. They are not going to watch Lord of the Rings. Right? They will not watch any, Money Heist. They will not watch it. Right? So, Hotstar was able to crack this code. Because Hotstar, if you go and just scroll down, you will see that वो क्रिकेट तो दिखाई ही रहे थे, बॉलीवुड की मूवीज आ रही थी, डेली सोप्स था, और ये काफी एस्ट्रोलॉजी और वो बाकी सब कुछ जितना भी रीजनल कंटेंट, राइट फ्रॉम इंडिया में तो इतने सारे स्टेट्स हैं दैट यू कैन इजीली कस्टमाइज योर रीजनल कंटेंट, राइट? तो रीजनल कंटेंट था. जियो सिनेमा ने अब वो क्रिकेट का ले लिया है, तो अचानक जियो सिनेमा का ऐप आ गया होगा सबके पास, राइट? बिकॉज ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर क्रिकेट एस्पेक्ट टू इट. बट यू विल बी अमेज्ड, एंड आई वाज अमेज्ड, दैट द रियल आंसर नाउ इज नॉट इवन हॉटस्टार एंड जियो सिनेमा. The answer is, जो कि आप लोग यूज भी नहीं कर रहे होंगे, MX Player. Have you heard of it? Yes. MX Player. And why MX Player? Because it's free. You can watch any content free of cost. Right? They are making money. जैसे YouTube है. They are ultimately competitor of YouTube. You can watch anything in YouTube. एक sign in लगता है बस. And then they are making money out of their ads. So MX Player is very popular among youngsters. To be very frank, हम लोग भी अब बूढ़े हो गए, हम लोग सब, क्योंकि हम लोग MX Player नहीं यूज कर रहे. MX Player is being used by these 17-year-old, 18-year-old youngsters They are not able to pay. For us to pay $6.99 subscription content is okay. They are not able to pay. They want everything free. And MX Player ka suddenly in 2023 has become the highest OTT player in India. Nobody can even imagine, right? That Netflix is having a tough time. Netflix may be changed kiya apna subscription plan. You remember that how they are actually branding it. So your content actually gives you a brand. How many of you watch Big Boss here? Let me just. Sometimes, right? Big Boss. So Big Boss is an addiction. I'll tell you. Right, over years, over seasons, you get addicted, and then suddenly one year you realize that you have wasted 5 years of your time watching Big Boss. Right? So this is what happens. But then Big Boss किस में आता है, मैडम? आपको पता है? किस OTT चैनल में? Woot is the channel जहाँ पे आता है, and Woot is only eating of Big Boss. The content, there is a content, there is a viewership. They will go to Woot only to watch Big Boss, as simple as that. So nobody is getting emotionally attached. India is a very emotionally unattached population to any brand. हम लोग जैसे brand को treat करते हैं, remember, nobody else treats a brand. If you go to US and UK, for example, which vehicles do you have? You will have different brands of vehicle, and then you are changing your vehicle. For example, 2030-40 में electric vehicles आ जाएंगे. So definitely you have to change your vehicle, petrol, diesel जो भी है. Are you planning to buy the same brand? Is this in your mind? I don't think so. India में होता है कि सब brand का, I'll have a taste of every brand. So I had a Honda, and then probably I'll buy a Skoda, then I'll buy a Honda Creta, then I'll go to Kia, and then I'll try to, have a mix and match brand. This is not the case in the West. West में अगर एक Ford खरीदा है, वो अपने पूरे life Ford ही खरीदेगा. He will change the car, but he will buy the next model of Ford. This is very important for us to realize this. Okay, let it come. Let us go to the next very quickly. Experience is important. So the first is scale, second is scope, third is experience. BCG. BCG is a consulting company. कौन सा? The brands.
Loyalty नहीं है brands की. Price sensitive या जो
price sensitive, to be very frank, मैं अलग से ही session लेता है the reason. In Indians, if I generalize, ऐसे to be very frank, we cannot generalize India into a one common land. What we think in Jammu Kashmir is very different from what we think in Kerala. I am from Punjab and somebody is from Northeast and somebody is from there. But if you take this complete India as one picture, we are a very mixed and a match society. And because of the disparity that has happened over the time, because of a lot of segmentation that has happened, price sensitivity, you said it, right? मेरे ही colony में, मेरे ही IT Delhi campus में या इस campus में, there are every level of people. There is a director, there is a professor who will have spending power, there are staffs, there will be laborers also. So the, the choices of, and this disparity doesn't exist in the West. West में generally they are called a developed nation, because the population and the disparity is not much, right? So even if you're home, think about your maids. Maid doesn't use the same brands that you are using. Why? Because probably their purchasing power is much more different. India में तो branding brands का इतना imitation है, right? That probably you will not even realize. For example, if you want a Woodland shoe, you can go to a Woodland showroom. You can also go to Chandni Chowk, जहाँ पे exact replica आपको 1000 रुपए में मिल रहा होगा. People will buy that 1000 रुपए वाला also, and people will buy this also. So in India, this is so disparity because of the requirements of the people, right? So Tier 1 metro doesn't behave like a Tier 1 city. Tier 1 doesn't behave like a Tier 2 city. Within the state also, there is a capital that behaves very differently as compared to a very remote location capital, that city that is there in. It's not disparate. It's very, very disparate. बहुत ज़्यादा. So मैं हमेशा example देता हूँ because this is a very right question that he has asked. I always give this example. For example, food apps होंगे यहाँ पे, Zomato and Swiggy. आप लोग सबके मोबाइल में होगा, ना? कौन सा ऐप सबसे पहले खुलता है? अब सोचिए, अगर आपको लंच अभी ऑर्डर करना है, आप स्विगी खोलोगे कि जोमेटो खोलोगे? कोई स्विगी खोलेगा, कोई जोमेटो खोलेगा. दोनों ऐप है आपके फोन में, लेकिन क्यों खोला आपने स्विगी और जोमेटो? क्योंकि आपका पर्सनल लाइकिंग है वो, आपका कुछ एक्सपीरियंस हुआ होगा, राइट? फॉर एग्जाम्पल इस एरिया में शायद जोमेटो ज्यादा अच्छा काम करता है, किसी और एरिया में स्विगी ज्यादा अच्छा काम करता है, ऑप्शंस ज्यादा हैं. I always say that branding and strategy is all about your mind share. It's never about your market share. अगर आपका माइंड कैप्चर कर लिया उसने, वो पैसा बनाएगा. मार्केट कैप्चर करना इज एन आउटकम. द मीन इज टू कैप्चर योर माइंड. फॉर एग्जांपल मेरे फोन में स्नैपडील भी होगा, फ्लिपकार्ट भी होगा, अमेजन भी होगा. सबसे पहले मैं क्यों खोल रहा हूं अमेजन? बिकॉज मेरे दिमाग में कस्टमर सेंट्रिसिटी, दे हैव कैप्चर्ड माई माइंड. मार्केट तो थ्री इडियट्स मूवी है ना. थ्री इडियट्स मूवी में यही तो लर्निंग है, that don't run after success. Success will follow. This is what Amir Khan says, right? Follow where your passion, right? If you are doing that very well, it's absolutely fine. And this is what the core crux simplicity of any branding or strategy is. You need to focus on basics. If the basics are clear, money follows. Right? That's more important. So, was I able to answer your question, my friend?
असल में वो जाना रिसर्च पर्सपेक्टिव से जानना चाह रहा था कि असल में मतलब ब्रांड के साथ लॉयल्टी या लगाव क्यों नहीं है.
There are research after.
अगर मैं इंडिविजुअल हूँ तो मैं अभी मतलब कोई ब्रांड मतलब फोन का ब्रांड खरीद रहा हूँ,
राइट,
कल को मैं कोई और खरीद रहा हूँ जैसे आपने कहा,
राइट,
तो वैसा मतलब ऐसा कुछ कलेक्टिव डेटा इसके लिए या कुछ रिसर्च है इसके लिए कि ये क्यों है?
बहुत रिसर्च है. If you go to Scopus database and Web of Science, you are a PhD scholar?
No, I'm not, but I have to study.
So take help of PhD scholars here. There are a lot of PhD scholars. They have a Scopus database. If you type this word brand loyalty, there are very small pockets of study that has actually happened in hotel tourism, in mobile phones you mentioned. एक मोबाइल फोन की स्टडी रिसर्च तो मैं ही बता सकता हूँ. Now what they did was, they asked whether you are a brand loyalist or a brand evangelist. You know the difference? I'll show you the difference now, what they mean. How many of you own a iPhone brand? Just raise your hand. How many of you do not own a iPhone brand? Okay, how many of you love iPhones? You will never shift to Android. Very happy with iPhones? I'm also an iPhone holder. And how many of you Android holders will never buy an iPhone? I wanted these hands. Yeah, you are also there. So tell me why you will not buy an iPhone?
It's too costly. I don't think it serves the purpose.
It's worth the money, right? Absolutely right. Okay.
Android के पास कौन सा ऐप है?
जो Android जैसे for example.
जैसे like I can download an application.
तो आईफोन वाले इनको काउंटर मारना चाहते हो कि कौन सी एप्लीकेशन आईफोन में डाउनलोड नहीं होती है?
Like my work is like social media, so
social media is all downloadable. So everything that you can do in Android, you can do it iPhone. But still, I mean, he might have a very customized requirement maybe of some apps, maybe not available. Why do you don't want to own an iPhone?
Device. I'm a very simple person. I have the basic need of mobile phone is to call. I'm going to do it 100% every day.
Right.
The rest of the things don't matter to me, like camera or something else.
Right.
I don't have sensitive information mostly on my phones.
Right.
So security जो वो sell कर रहे हैं तो I don't buy that.
And iPhone lovers, yeah, okay.
It's easy to hack it.
It's easy to hack an Android rather than iPhone. Yeah, that's true. And iPhone lovers, why do you love iPhone?
I guess the design and the interface.
The ease of use,
yes.
Right? Okay. You know, I am a professor and I have to take both sides. Right? I cannot get biased with one side. So although I own an iPhone, that's okay, that's my personal choice, but I will show you both these sides. You are absolutely right. एक साइड है that iPhone is very, for example, I'll give you this example. iPhone अगर मैं लेता हूँ, the biggest use is, मैं कभी भी ये लोगो छुपाऊंगा. iPhone का कवर हमेशा कस्टमाइज्ड होता है. It's always customized to show the logo. Why? ये चीज आपको ना सैमसंग में मिलेगी, ना वीवो में मिलेगी, ना कहीं भी मिलेगी. बिकॉज जब मैं यहाँ पे फोन में बात कर रहा हूँ, मैंने इतना महंगा फोन खरीदा है, तो मुझे ये लोगो फ्लॉन्ट कर रहा है. इस लोगो के बिना अगर मैं इसको कवर कर दूं तो लोगों को पता नहीं लगेगा ये वीवो है या सैमसंग है. आधे लोग इसीलिए खरीदते हैं. राइट. दिस इज द मेन स्टफ. And apart from it, of course, I mean, it's very easy to use, and many of the iPhone users that I have met have said that we'll never shift to Android, right, because of the easy to use. But secondly, on the second hand, you know, although I am an iPhone user, I'm really the other side of the story is my students come to me. बोले सर आपने बर्बाद कर दिया ना 80,000 रुपए, ये देखिए 20,000 रुपए का माइक्रोमैक्स कैनवास. Whatever your feature of the iPhone is, every feature is there in this Micromax canvas. This is 20,000 phone. Plus एक दो feature मैं बताता हूँ जो आपके iPhone में नहीं है. This is the exact point, right?
Is the UX everything is same?
Everything is same. The features at least, right? The ease of use is not there, but एक दो feature और होता है. So I'm sure that you know that what do these? There are many tiers of company. Right, so for example, there is always a fight between Samsung and Apple to actually come up with these particular innovations. So we wait for iPhone launches, right, every year. But then what happens? The second tier phone run companies just take these phones and then they replicate that in their particular model, reduce the cost and sell it. If you go to Nehru Place, have you been to Delhi sometime? Nehru Place का नाम सुना होगा, मुझे यहाँ भी कुछ लोकल मार्केट होगा लेकिन मुझे दिल्ली का पता है. Nehru Place is a place जहाँ पे सब थर्ड ग्रेड वहाँ पे सब इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स मिलती है. If you go there, you realize that ऐसा ऐसा मोबाइल फोन बिक रहा है जिसका नाम भी नहीं सुना है आपने वो ब्रांड्स में, and those are very popular brands, 1,000, 2,000 rupees, having all the features of a typical smartphone. My point is that even Steve Jobs or Tim Cook, right, doesn't want to sell iPhone to everyone here present in the room. Why? Brand value गिर जाएगा. Harley Davidson, for example, right? How many of you love Harley Davidson? How many of you would never drive a Harley Davidson? You know, to be very frank, I'll never drive a Harley Davidson. I'm married, I have a wife, I have 2 kids. अब मेरे लिए, you know, in Delhi के traffic में Harley Davidson चलाना, it's very difficult for me, right? और एक बार Harley Davidson अगर पंचर हो गई, तो वो कार बन जाता है. But for example, you know, Harley Davidson कोई बाइक और कोई फ्यूल एफिशिएंसी के लिए खरीदता भी नहीं है. They are more of a club culture, right? वो इंडिया गेट में मिलेंगे, ऑल इंडिया टूर जाएंगे, they will have fun. Have you ever heard of a Splendor club? Splendor doesn't have a club, बाबा. Splendor का होता है वो जाके पूछ रहा है कितना देता है ये, right? 55, 60, whatever it is. So your product segment also is so varied because of your requirement that probably you will never have a brand loyalty. If you go to US and UK, you will never have a Maruti 800 there, which is the most popular car of India. Right? Tata Nano जैसा कार वहाँ पे बनाने का attempt भी नहीं होगा, because the bottom of the pyramid is driving the way you are actually making it. For example, BMW is there in India, but not in demand. BMW का 40% sales China से आ रहा है. Because purchasing power of China is much ahead of purchasing power of India. Let's accept it, right? Or Achamek, you must have seen that this Hyundai Creta and Kia Seltos and these companies and Skoda Kushaq, these have suddenly become the largest selling car in the past 6 months. Why? Because they are falling within the range of 15 to 20 lakhs now. यही 10 साल पहले आप देखोगे तो 5 से 10 लाख वाली कार बहुत फेमस थी. अगले 10 साल में एक्सपेक्टेड है कि BMW की कार बहुत फेमस हो जाएगी, because people will have that purchasing power to buy it. Now when you are a developing nation, your purchasing PPP is actually increasing, and that is why you shift your loyalties. The disparity is too much. For after 10 years, probably my maid will be wearing the brands that we are wearing now. That's the whole point. And this is the shift in the consumer that probably as a company, as a strategist, you need to bear in mind. Because आज, remember, for me, the most important segment for me if I am in business is between the age of 17 to 25. Because they will get a job after 5 years. They are very brand conscious, these youngsters. They are very quality conscious. और इनका साइकोलॉजी समझना is very important because they are the TikTok generation. You know TikTok? Right? What TikTok is? I didn't even know what TikTok is, बाबा. मेरे को सबसे पहले मेरे कजन ब्रदर के बेटी ने बताया जो 13 साल की थी कि चाचा ये भी होता है कुछ. And then I realized that what TikTok is, it's a complete population of people who are fan of TikTok. TikTok ऐसे इंडिया में बैंड हो गया है अभी. Right, and that is why Instagram reels have come up in a big way. But this is the generation we are talking about. If we can't understand their psychology, will not be able to sell our products after 10 years. So this is the point, and that is why probably the yes.
Or this brand loyalty.
Yes. Yes.
Is it people accept the brand consciously or unconsciously? Is there any ratio?
No, I tell you, in India, it's a very difficult question to answer because we are a very collective society. You know, our decisions of buying a brand and a product or a service is not actually very independent decision, but it's more of the influencing decision of maybe my family, maybe my friends, maybe my colleague or a neighbor next door. We are not an individualistic society. For example, I'll tell you, Honda Brio को आप जानते होंगे, Honda Brio गाड़ी. I owned a Honda Brio before I bought my next vehicle. I still remember 2014 I wanted to buy a small car. My budget was 5 lakhs. I was more inclined towards i10, but my wife went with me and she liked the car. Honda Brio का पीछे का आपने देखा है डिजाइन? And that is a very classical case. I've written a case study on it. कि ये बहुत classical case था that people either loved it or hated it. Now again, like iPhones. Now we are not selling ice creams. Every product will have this categorization. I didn't like that. I'm coming from the automotive industry. मैं महिंद्रा में काम करके आ रहा हूँ, right? And तो मैं बहुत ही टेक्निकल पर्सन हूँ कार्स को लेकर. But my wife liked it. ना Honda Brio का पीछे का डिजाइन. And this is how you go after marriage, right? Your wife likes it, you buy it, and then you like it. Right? So I bought that. I'm so sorry, don't quote me in front of my wife. Right, but anyway, I mean, I love that vehicle anyway. So I bought that particular vehicle. Right, so second time जब मैं vehicle खरीदने जा रहा था, so I was very adamant that this time I'll buy the car. Right, you will love it. No, right. So this is what the deal was with that bike. But that's okay. But what I'm trying to put in here is there is a demographic difference. This is a rising society, right? We don't know where we'll go. If you believe in the India growth story, what I'm trying, you know, most of the economists is saying that probably we will grow better than Japan and other countries in the coming year. We are not sure. Nothing is sure. We, you know, see how the international political situations are actually coming up. एक war हो जाएगा, खत्म हो जाएगा सब, right? But see what happening with you know, the recent Israel and there and Russia and everything else. It's very dicey. But if you believe in India growth story, which is expected to grow in the coming 10 years, then the purchasing power parity will increase of Indians. For companies and corporates, इसका meaning ये है that we have to adjust to selling to our customers, right? And this is where probably the concept of product diversification comes up. बिकॉज एक ही प्रोडक्ट से हम लोग बोर हो जाते हैं. आईफोन आपको क्यों लग रहा है कि हर साल एक नया ब्रांड ला रहा है? आईफोन 14 आया, आईफोन 15 आया, आईफोन 16 आया, जो कि नोकिया नहीं कर रहा था. चेंज. हाउ मेनी एंड्रॉइड्स, आप लोग एंड्रॉइड यूज कर रहे होंगे, आईओएस यूज कर रहे होंगे. हाउ मेनी अपडेट्स वी गेट ऑफ एंड्रॉइड एंड आईओएस एवरी मंथ? प्रोबेबली एवरी 6 months. वो बोलता है ना कि अपने आप फोन को अपडेट करो. व्हाट आर दे डूइंग? दे आर एक्सपेरिमेंटिंग विथ यू. दे डोंट वांट टू बिकम ऑर्कुट. ऑर्कुट याद है? ऑर्कुट डेड है, राइट? क्यों? क्योंकि चेंज नहीं है. फेसबुक में अगर आप लोग देखोगे, पहले एक लाइक बटन होता था बस. आज कितने इमोशंस हैं, रिएक्शंस, राइट? पहले एक लाइक बटन को चेंज किया उन्होंने, टेस्ट किया. सब ऐप आपके चेंज होते हैं. व्हाट्सएप को देखो, एवरी मॉर्निंग यू गेट इनटू व्हाट्सएप. व्हाट्सएप का खुद का एक स्टेटस मैसेज आया रहता है वहां पे. दे आर टेलिंग कि अब आप बिजनेस के लिए यूज कर सकते हैं, आप ये कर सकते हैं, वी आर मोर प्राइवेट. Everybody is changing on a daily basis because they know Indians want change. Will not stick to one product, right? Let me show you, you know, one more few examples. Probably, you know, you'll be able to relate it. Bajaj का नाम सुना होगा, Raymond's का नाम सुना होगा आपने, right? So these companies, are very few companies जिससे मेरे father relate करते थे और मैं भी relate कर रहा हूँ और शायद मेरा बच्चा भी relate करेगा. Generation, because generally there is a attempt to disown what my father owned, right? Because वो brand से मुझे लगता है मैं नया generation हूँ तो मैं ये brands नहीं use कर रहा. मेरे बच्चे को लगेगा नहीं मेरे father use करते हैं वो मैं नहीं. Then this is the generation gap. but some of the brands have been able to resonate it very nicely with you people, right? And this is what probably I'll go to the next, show you this particular slide. आपने ये देखा होगा ये INS विक्रांत, right? बजाज ने INS विक्रांत को देखिए, you see the strategy very nicely. This is a typical branding strategy, right? INS Vikrant was getting scrapped. Bajaj said that we'll go and buy the steel, we'll make a bike out of it, and they instilled all the emotions of INS Vikrant. लेकिन आपको लगता है कि विक्रांत का कोई हाथ था, लेना देना था इस बाइक को लेकर? कुछ नहीं था, बस स्टील ही तो खरीदा उन्होंने, नॉर्मल एक बाई एंड सेल प्रोसेस में स्टील खरीद दिया INS विक्रांत का. It was such high product that there was a waiting of 6 months for this product. But the moment I said never sell a bad content to the customers, 6 months के बाद people realized that it has rattling issues, performance issues and stuff. अभी ये बंद हो गई है production. It's completely banned because they could not sustain what they promised to sell. Right? Look at this ad of Raymond's. अच्छा, यहाँ मुझे वो चलाना पड़ेगा. Raymond's is predominantly a male brand, right? Can women of this class relate to Raymond's? कभी आपने Raymond प्रोडक्ट खरीदा है? Where is that? Raymond's. I want to just show this for you. Has the ladies of this house ever bought Raymond? No. No, it's a predominantly a male brand. And this is coming from generations. Raymond's आज से नहीं है, 1900 से है, right? They have a strong dominance in the male brand. And I want to show you this ad where they started. And this ad is primarily meant for ladies and not for men. And I'll show you why. You look at this ad very carefully. Because ultimately, who is the decision maker for generally the men? The women are the decision makers when you go for shopping. Gifting nahi, ye ad aap dekho, and then you will realize there is a social message here, right? And this is what they were targeting. You must have seen this ad. Dekhe ho na ye ad. Try to understand what's happening here.
Make the complete man. Being there is just one of them. Raymond, the complete man.
Targeted towards women completely. That if you don't have this man in life, your husband is not a complete man. And this is what they started with, a series of ads. That earlier, times are changing, Baba. Now the women are also working, the men are also working. There has to be an equality. And they started with this particular premise that a complete man is not only the man who has professional achievements. They're a man who is a good husband, and they started with some of the good, friend, good student and a teacher relationship, a good brother, and all the relationships were evoked, the emotions were evoked in terms of defining the complete man. And only then probably you would take your brand from a generation to the next generation if you can speak their language. And this is what I'm telling, that the next wave is going to come from this 17-25 years old, TikTokers, right? If they may able to relate with your brand, they'll be more than happy to accept your brand as it is, right? That's very important. Okay, so let me also go back to what we were talking about. Yeah. You know, again, have you heard of this company called Build? What is Build? बल्लारपुर इंडस्ट्रीज लिमिटेड का नाम सुना होगा आपने, जो पेपर्स बनाती है, पेपर, they are into paper business. Now you know, look at how they have diversified. What do you want to make papers? Bark of a tree. So they thought कि हम लोग जब पेपर बिजनेस में ही हैं, why not we start with the bark of the tree and make papers? So they started growing trees. And when you start growing trees, what do you require? Land. They went to the remotest location of the villages and started to grow trees. अब remotest location में आपको labor तो मिल जाएगा, you will get water, you will get every amenities. बस एक ही चीज के लिए प्रॉब्लम आ रही थी, वो है fertilizers, right? So they thought that why not we start a fertilizer plant in that village only. See how they diversified. तो fertilizer का plant लगा दिया जहां जहां fields था. And once you are in the fertilizer business, what business actually you are in? You are in a chemical business. So chemical business में रहने के बाद सबसे easy product आपको जो शुरू करना होता है, that is generic drugs, जो कि over the counter drugs होता है. So they started with making generic drugs. And when you are making generic drugs, who will buy those drugs? तो आप लोग को गांव में already हो, गांव में तो hospitals का problem है. They started a CSR wing, started building hospitals in all the villages. And they made doctors sit in those particular hospitals and prescribe their own generic drugs. And when you are building hospitals, which business you are into? Construction business. So you come to the city, start with a construction business. From paper to construction, adjacencies खोजना अपने business में is very important. And last year I was reading the annual report of Build, where they have stated their consolidated statement of their balance sheet. 95% of their business is coming from all the other businesses and only 5% is coming from paper business. And this is very important because generally build बोलते हैं तो हम लोग ये सबसे पहले पेपर आता है माइंड में. Only 5% of the business. गति आपने सुना होगा इसका नाम, transport. Now for the first time, if you go to the annual report of Indian postal system, which is more of a government system, they identified a private player Gati as their competitors. And they said that we don't know how to actually compete with Gati because Gati has the reach to the market and they also have matched our prices. So let us benchmark Gati operations to improve Indian postal systems operations. This is what they are trying to do. Biocon आपने सुना होगा. Who is the CEO of Biocon? Yes, Kiran Majumdar-Shaw. And Dr. Majumdar should be the benchmark for all the ladies of this particular house because she started as an entrepreneur way back in 1980s. That was more dominated by men, to be very frank, at that period of time. But she has transgressed her path to become one of the major biochemical company in India, which is not only doing generic drugs but also doing a lot of discovery of drugs. Take the case of Komatsu. आपने देखा होगा ये एक joint venture था इंडिया में, L&T Komatsu, right? Komatsu is more of into earth digging equipment. और Komatsu का सबसे बड़ा competitor था Caterpillar, USA का, CAT. And Caterpillar के सामने Komatsu exist भी नहीं करता था. लेकिन over time, अपने vision के कारण, they said that we will have to match the product and the service and the quality of Caterpillar. So they changed their vision statement to a Japanese word called Marusi. And Marusi, in the meaning of Marusi is kill Caterpillar. Only then with this focused mindset they were able to come up with this particular aspect. DuPont is a very classical example. And let me ask you this question. हम लोग brands की आज बात कर रहे हैं, लेकिन हर बार ब्रांड इंपॉर्टेंट होता नहीं है, because there are some brands that is just a impulse buy. For example, do you remember the brand of the hammer that you last bought? Hammer का कोई ब्रांड होता है? आप पर्दे के लिए तो जाते हो, अपने घर के पर्दे के लिए तो you would shop from shop to shop, but do you remember the brand of that pellet that is there? ब्रांड ऑफ नेल पता है आपको? काठी. उसके लिए हम लोग क्या करते हैं, we go to a hardware shop and just buy it, right? There are some stuffs that you don't care for brand. I'll go for a branded shirt or branded jacket. I'll hop from shop to shop to buy it. I'll not go hopping for buying a branded hammer, right? That's more important. And this is where DuPont actually thrives. Because आपको ये realize करना होगा कि आपके product और service के लिए brand important है कि नहीं. Right? One of my friends was working in chocolate industry, and you know who dominates the chocolate industry in India? Cadbury, Dairy Milk. वही blue wrapper, वही orthodox way of selling a chocolate. The whole chocolate industry is approximately 3,000 crore business in India, out of which Cadbury has only 1,600 crores market share. The problem is that if you today start a chocolate business, will you be able to compete with Cadbury? It's impossible, right? Because वो इतना ये हो चुका है. So what will I do? I will not eye their 1,600 crores. I will eye the other 1,600 crores, which is more about customizable chocolates. Because people now are more, not able to relate to that blue wrappers of Cadbury. One of my students was saying that this is very uncomfortable for me because, I gave the same wrapper to my sister during one of the occasions, and I gave the same wrapper, blue wrapper, to my girlfriend in Valentine's Day. So that's not right for me. I need a customization. So जब मैं अपने parents को भेज रहा हूँ, probably I need some customization. When I am sending it to my friend, I need some customization. And that business is 1,600 crore business. You don't have to compete with brands. And do you know, anyone in this class know any brand that customizes chocolates for you?
Yes, sir.
Right?
I have one student has made a brand out of it. Her name is Halal Chocolates.
Right? Halal chocolates. Right?
She was doing graduation.
Perfect.
Particularly into the customization.
Particularly into that customization. And that's the point. And most of the customization of the chocolates, Dr. Sultan, will be in the localization of the aspect. Because what works, and this is what I am saying, what works in J&K doesn't work in Bihar. What works in Jharkhand doesn't work in Kerala. What works in Kerala doesn't work in West Bengal. Right? So this is where probably the immense opportunity exists in India for you to actually customize it so much that probably bigger brands will not be able to compete with you in that particular sector. Right? So that's amazing. Okay. And the last is Xerox. Now Xerox is a very classical story of complacency again. Because Xerox had one point of time 95% of the market share in the photocopier machine. फिर किसने replace किया इसको? Canon. And when Canon came, Xerox का reaction ऐसे ही था जो Kodak का था जो मैंने बताया, that they are not a competitor, they are into small photocopier machine, they will not be able to compete with us, and later they disrupted. And the bigger story is that Xerox was the first company who invented computers. Do you know that? Yes. They invented computers and they kept that in a room. They didn't have any market plan for it. Steve Jobs, Steve Jobs, visited Xerox Park, California, and saw that computer there in the room and got an idea, went back to Apple, created the complete revolution of what Apple did, and now Apple is where Apple is, and Xerox का कोई computer खरीदता भी है, I don't know.
Xerox को perfect करने के वो उसमें था.
Perfect करने के उसमें था. So that's absolutely. So this is the difference between invention and innovation, because invention is something which is in your mind. Unless you commercialize it, it's not innovation. So I would say that Xerox invented computers. Apple commercialized it, they innovated it. That's the whole difference, right? Anyway, I want to just, probably I don't know how much time I had, Dr. Sultan.
5 to 7 minutes.
Oh my God. I've not even given them a break. I'm so sorry. I hope it's okay. All of you are sleeping in my lecture? No. Thank you so much. I want to show the last lecture and then I'll probably, close this. Last video to you, because I generally feel that there is an immense opportunity always So shall I show you 2 videos? Yeah. And we'll close this lecture, this boring lecture. So the first video, you'll be able to relate to it, because when I was coming to Srinagar, I just keep temperature kitna hai Srinagar. I'm from, Delhi itna thanda nahi hai abhi, and it's very cold in Srinagar. So I heard about the news that probably, in Srinagar there was some tourist who was going and they fell, kahin gir gaye wo, shayad Hati mein, and they died. And I think this actually resonates with what happened, because it's very risky to actually drive in these particular terrains. So look at how HP Lubricants has innovated here. You know this term?
Yes.
Yeah?
गाड़ी जो आती है लैंड पे ओवरटेक करती है या स्पीड पे होती है जितना प्रेशर रहती है वो काफी होती है on the heavy beds they know that what is coming from the other side and what is speed and you don't know they can't take any action depending on that. We created smartphones with radar technology that communicates with each other to alert drivers on both sides of the blind curve with the sound of a horn.
Humans instinctively react to sound, so it uses that concept to provide them input.
The radar on the smartphones reads the speed of the vehicles and communicates with the smartphone at the other end. They alert the drivers on both sides by honking, indicating them to slow down and cross safely. Whenever life is overtaken, and that loco has wrong.
I don't think this is a very foolproof solution, but still if it saves 2 out of 10 lives, with the innovation, that's good enough. Because most of these particular dangerous questions that are there in our particular society have no answer. And with a simple innovation like this, even if few lives are saved, this is much more an innovation to me. But the last video is my favorite video. Because personally, although I am a strategist and I work in the innovation, I also work in public health space. And especially work in the public health space of the marginalized tribal population and those people who could not get public health as compared to what urban coverage is all about, right? And I really like this because my mother was a teacher and she always had this midday meal scheme, right, in schools. And generally this is not very well managed across India. I really like this association of a social problem with the brand that tried to solve this particular problem. Last video, we'll have an interaction of 5-7 minutes with the permission of Dr. Sultan, of course, and then we'll leave it here. Perfect, okay. So we'll just go ahead with it.
बनाए खूब बड़े उड़ाए और उसको धोखे साथ ले आए
I hope this resonates with not only hand wash but also that a simple problems of our life can get solved by a simple thinking of what we can do at ground. But I'm open to any questions. Thank you so much for listening to my lecture very patiently. I hope I was making sense and you had some takeaways from this particular lecture. I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm open to any questions if any. If I'm not standing between you and your lunch.
तो सर आपने विजन के बारे में बोला,
राइट,
लेकिन मिशन के बारे में अपनी बात नहीं।
हाँ, मिशन के बारे में बात नहीं हुई। Now, mission is something that probably people get confused between mission and vision. So, vision is something that we are doing in our daily life in terms of what our scope of product is and everything else is. So that I know, and I deliberately didn't talk about it because आप लोग वो कर रहे हैं. You know what are your 1-year target is, 2-year target is, 5-year target is. But the philosophy that a vision can never be achieved is something that I wanted to instill.
Vision is more realistic versus vision which is more futuristic.
Yes, it's more of a strategic actions. Yeah, the vision is more, your own thinking. Why do you exist? So that is the question that we answer in the vision.
Vision is like, what we can achieve, what we think.
Yes, not we think, but what you are doing to achieve it. For example, your 5-year plan, 10-year plan, 15-year plans, and you have some specific targets. So ultimately, there is a broader vision that you are breaking down into different aspects to it, and then you are going ahead with your vision. So if you look at a very classical definition of mission, if you read that, that's more of a technological scope. What's your scope of work? So technological scope, geographical scope, and your product and the services scope.
You can say mission is a subset of vision.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Tangibilizing the vision.
Absolutely, tangible, outputs are being planned there. Yes. So, any other questions?
Thank you. There were some thought-provoking moments, or I can say, bug moments in the presentation. From an entrepreneurial point of view,
right?
Like when the entrepreneurs are trying, what do you think in terms of strategy? See, they are building something for it's a me-too product.
Right.
Obviously, innovation is one of the from the strategy point of view, which they have to, if they're disrupting a huge player.
Right.
So, what sort of broad strategies compete?
Right.
So any thoughts on the early entrepreneurship?
I can, to be very frank, I teach this 32-hour course there, but very pointed answer to your particular question. I believe, can I just have the attention, because he has asked a very important question. He has asked me that what are some of the specific strategies that probably we need to take care of as entrepreneurs. I will give the last, gyan here, to be very frank, right? It's parts, P-A-R-T-S. And I'll elaborate what parts is. The first thing is that being an entrepreneur and a strategy, you need to understand who your players are. Right? The players are very, very important. And who are your players? Your players are not only your customers, but also your collaborators. Right? The bundling of your product that you can do, the platforms that we have talked about. Right? So players, you have to be very, very careful, because there can be complementers, there can be substitutes. You have your customers, you have your suppliers. Identify those and have a good network of it. The A for part stands for added value. What is the value that you are adding to the existing products and the services? If you are not doing it, तो आप एक general category में आ गए. For example, what value is there? What innovation is there? Why will customers buy your product? The third is rules. And rules बहुत important होता है, because rules are business में I'm not saying that you break all the rules, right? But actually you can play around the rules. For example, this is why the concept of blue ocean and red ocean strategy has come over, right? Because what is a blue ocean? A blue ocean is something which is already red. You don't want to work in a space where there is competition. You go towards a blue, you innovate, you create a new area of your particular work. You didn't break any formal policy rule, but you created a new opportunity for the people, right? So rules are very, very important. And then tactics. The tactics that I was mentioning about, for example, these, that's on-ground implementation. For example, Zomato जब क्रिकेट मैच होता है तो आपको 50% डिस्काउंट देता है, the opportunity, Mastercard का opportunity, right, that I showed you, right, the astronomical sales. So those are some of the opportunities that you need to catch, and that is why entrepreneur होने का सबसे बड़ा फायदा यही होता है कि आप लोग बहुत flexible हो. You can take a decision in the morning and implement that in the evening, जो कि Google नहीं कर पाएगा, जो कि Microsoft नहीं कर पाएगा, right, because they have bureaucratic structures. So leverage that flexibility and the agility, and that's what I call it tactics. And finally, parts का last ऐसे scope. आपको scope define करना पड़ेगा कि आप कहाँ operate करना चाहते हैं. And scope can be multiple scopes, a offline scope or an online scope. Scope only to limit to geographical scope और या product scope. Built मैंने आपको बताया कि उन्होंने scope कैसे expand किया अपना paper से लेकर construction से. So if you take care of your players, added value, rules, tactics and scope, I think इसके अलावा और कुछ होगा नहीं आपको ध्यान रखने के लिए. Yeah, useful.
Yeah. I hope that
opening from our side.
Thank you. I'm sorry I took a lot of time.
No,
yeah, that was okay. Thank you, sir. Yes, right. Take it.
Sir, आपका कुछ
हाँ, ये डॉक्टर बोल रहा था